The voices of the women who accompanied Jesus. Day 5, Friday. The voice of Mary, the mother of Jesus. When did I know? I knew he was special before his life began stirring within me. When did I know it would come to this? Alas, I suspected it since he was tiny. When did I know I would have to let go? That has been unending, exhausting torment. I should have been ready from the first visitation. A most terrible choice loomed before me. I could shake my head, or I could say yes. And somehow the immense privilege and anguish of that yes seemed clearer to me for a split second. I knew the pain would be appalling, but I also knew God as love. Here I am, I said, God's servant. I'm willing to be the bearer of this child. I knew he was special. The final hour of his birth was another hour I would have wished to be saved from, but had to live through. There have been many of them. We all have them. I dreaded the pain, yet longed for the child that hour would bring. The crushing joy at the baby, squealing and messy, but alive. As I looked at his little head, the world disappeared and only Jesus and I lived. I didn't wonder who he was or what he would come to. There were many reminders that this, my firstborn, was a holy child. Many times I thought of old Simeon and Anna, but there were also many not of our faith who worshipped him too. And I never forgot Simeon's words. This child is destined for the falling and rising of many in Israel, and a sword will pierce your own soul too. Many have been the times I've thought of Simeon's words were being fulfilled, times that my heart ached with pain of this special child. But as they crucified him, I returned to the days and nights when we had to flee south, to those other mothers whose babies were killed. They lost their sons more than 30 years ago. I had to learn to lose my son. I was the only one who really understood the wonder of who he was. The pain of giving up my son has lasted all these years. Sometimes I found I could trust God. Other times I felt overwhelmed by my fear for Jesus and my desire to protect him. Perhaps it really came to me when he preached at Nazareth. Jesus read from the Isaiah scroll so beautifully and then said, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." My heart seemed to stop, but it was as if the others didn't hear him. They had missed Jesus' extraordinary words. And I realised that I was glad that they had. Otherwise they would never sit and smile at him and damn him with such faint praise. It was all fine till he mentioned Elijah and the widow at Zarephath and Naaman the Syrian. You know how people regard foreigners. People started to mutter. A mob chased him to the edge of the town. I slowly walked home alone. This child, this amazing son who refused to accept superficial praise, who insisted on saying the tactless words and making sure everyone understood them. Gradually they would kill him. How could I have said yes to having such a child? I knew he would die. It was several months after Jesus spoke at Nazareth before I felt strong enough to go with a few friends to hear Jesus teach in Capernaum. Someone shouted to him that his mother was waiting to see him. He didn't even look at me. I had to relinquish that special place as mother. That was hardest. I can't say how many months of sleepless nights I endured before I understood what Jesus was saying that time and the other time. He was saying, "No, you are a follower of God, a friend of God, more than womb and breasts, not less, more." When I saw him that day carrying his cross to Golgotha, I saw that we chose it together. I by saying yes to God, he by being true to his message. "Walk on, my son, walk on," I said to him. Then I did. I let him go again. It was an excruciating day and dangerous, but I had to stand there. I had to stay. I found myself longing for Elizabeth, and although I'd missed her deeply since she died, I was glad she didn't have to face this. We had shared so much. Again and again I keep returning to those early days. Just after I walked into Elizabeth's home, God seemed to speak to me about what Jesus' birth and life would mean, and I've pondered on it long and hard. As I stood there with Elizabeth, it seemed clear to me that the wonder of God was revealed in his visiting someone like me. That day I felt that God, in sending the Messiah, was scattering the proud from their proud thinking and bringing down the powerful from their power. And it seemed like that he lifted up the lowly and filled the hungry with good things, while those who were rich were sent away empty. When silence fell around the cross that day and all was accomplished, my sorrow reached out to all the ends of the earth. There is never love without sorrow, never commitment without pain, never involvement without loss, never giving without suffering, never a yes to life without many deaths to die. But I promise you, if you too come to know that sorrow in your own heart, you will come to know it as the mantle of God's love and cherish it as the hidden mystery of life.